Good morning, everyone. In these very special occasions, we would like to present our topic today, Deixis. Deixis, a term which is derived from the Greek word meaning pointing. It is the locations and identifications of persons, objects, events, processes, and activities being talked about or referred to in relations to the spatio-temporal context created and sustained by the acts of utterance and the participants in it, typically of a single speaker and at least one addressee. The importance of dietic expressions for interpretations is easiest to see in its absence. Take a look in this sentence. Meet me here a month from now with a magic wand about this long. When dietic information is available, as in this sentence, meet me here a month from now with a magic wand about this long, saves a lot of linguistic work. But when uttered out of context, it is mostly meaningless.
Okay, thank you for the time. Now let's begin about traditional categories of deixis. The traditional categories of deixis consist of three different types. The first is person deixis or personal deixis. The personal deixis, personal, which means a personal pronoun such as I. Okay, I. I means me, myself. So when I say I means me, Rizaldi, Hawin, Fadalah. Okay, and then when you say I, that means you. Okay, so it's different people, it's different person. When I say I, it means refer to myself. But when you say I, that means you. Okay, and then the second person deixis is the addressee, which means you. Okay, the second person involved in the conversation, okay, directly involved or actively involved is you. So when I say I love you, which means I as the speaker love you as the addressee. Okay, so the pronoun itself depends on the occasion, depends on the person, depends on the depends on the situation. For example, when I say I love you, that means when you are my girlfriend, when you are my boyfriend or so on. Perhaps it means to you, I love you. Or when you say it to your mother, I love you, which means you love your mother. You get it? You, the addressee, okay? And then the third person deixis is when the speaker just do the speak or do the utterance of them, or just mention, okay, I forgot, mention the name or mention the group, but not directly involved in the conversation. But it needs to be one or more person in the actively conversation. For example, look at them, okay, which means I and my friend look at them. But the speaker, only the speaker speak to them, to himself, okay. I look at them, which means a bunch of people over there doing something that not actively involved in my conversation with my friend. Okay. And then the second is a spatial deixis. A spatial deixis usually involve about a location, a distance, a space. For example, look at here, or I am here, which means I am here, which means I am close to something's here, di sini. Okay, so spatial Deixis divided into two. There is proximal and distal. Proximal is closer to the speaker and distal away from the speaker. So I will give an example. Bob, bring that broom here. Bring that broom here. Which means, Bob, I, as a speaker, asking Bob to bring the broom here. Which means the broom itself is away from me. And asking Bob to bring them here, which means come closer to me. So the broom is away, but the Bob bring it here, come closer to me. Okay, that's a proximal when bring closer to me, and a distal when the broom is away from me. Okay, the third categories is temporal Deixis or time Deixis because it's involved time. It divided into two types of temporal Deixis. The first is coding time or CT. The coding time, for example, just like this. I'm currently recording this presentation at noon, which means I'm currently recording this presentation in the afternoon, which means current time. Okay, and then the second is receive time or RT, which means later or previous. The example, so let's make the previous example. When the coding time means current, I currently recording this presentation. So when I am done with this presentation, my recorded voice will be received by you and you can hear it later, which means that the receive time. So in other words, when I recording this, you will hear my recording later. Okay, which means you are not directly involved in my recording, right? Not directly see or nor directly listen. Okay, that's the traditional categories of Deixis. Thank you. Okay, Deixis divided into two categories. There is deictic expression and non-deictic expression. Deictics expression are expressions that have a deictic usage as basic or central, while non-deictic expression are expressions that do not have such a usage as basic or central. For example, the deictic expression, you and you come to my office. Now, the words you, which means I directly asking you to come to my office, the addressee, okay, from the previous slide. And then the non-deictic expression, for example, if you travel on a train without a valid ticket, you will be liable to pay a penalty fare. The word you in non-deictic expression, it's not directly pointing into you. Okay, the you in non-deictic expression refers to some people or a person who didn't follow the regulation. Okay, that's the deictic and non-deictic expression. So the deictic expression itself can be divided into two categories. There is gestural and symbolic. Gestural can be properly interpreted by a direct or moment-by-moment monitoring of some physical aspect of speech event, or when the interpretation requires hearer or listener to be co-present with the speaker to see some accompanying physical action. And then the deixis is symbolic when hearer or listener needs to know contextual coordinates but does not need to be co-present with the speaker. For example, the gestural one. Put one here and one over there. Okay. When I say put one here, which means put one here close to me and one over there away from me. Okay, so I directly pointing out into the direction or the location. Meanwhile, the symbolic one, for example, it is snowing here. Is it over there? Which means the hearer itself, it's not currently involved in my conversation. For example, so when I say it is snowing here, the speaker set utterance here in the condition where the speaker currently affected by snow, but the speaker asking the hearer there, is it the same condition there? Which means doesn't directly involve, okay, because they are away from each other. That's gestural and symbolic deixis. Thank you.
Well, now we are going for the next part of these presentations. The next point is about the comparisons of the deixis. Yeah, as the previous presenter said that there are two sub-points of deixis. The first one is deictic, and then for the next one or the second one is non-deictic. Yeah, as we know that deictic are expressions that have a deictic usage as basic or central. And while non-deictic means the expressions that do not have such a usage as basic or central. Then here, as we know that there are two parts also in deictic. The first one is gestural and the second one is symbolic. And then because of non-deictic, there is no part. So we can conclude that over here, gestural, symbolic, and non-deictics. We would like to compare among them. Well, for the first one is gestural. Gestural, as we know that, means generally a physical and monitoring of the speech event. And then it is pointing as what they look, as what we look, like that. And then here, for example, like, not that one, cute, that one. That over here pointing, the gestural cute, like that. And then for the second example, this finger hearts. This for pointing the fingers, hearts. Like that. And then for the second is symbolic. Symbolic means an actions, object, event, or others. And then that expresses or represents a particular idea or quality. And then here, for example, that's a beautiful view. That's pointing a view that beautiful. So the view as symbol as beautiful, like that. And then for the second example for symbolic is this city stinks. As the symbol is stings, so this point the city that stings, like that. And then for the last one is non-deictic. Non-deictic that express that do not have such a usage as basic or central over here. And then here I provide two examples also. The first one is, oh, I did this and that. And then for the next example, I met this weird guy the other day. So this over here point for the weird guy, like that. Well, for the next point is about present tenses. As screened 2008, present tenses localizes an entity in relation to the positions of speaker and or hearer. And for the first and second person in pronouns, typically refers to the speaking and hearing speech participants, whereas third person's pronouns designate the non-speech or narrative participant. And then, according to Lyons in 1983, the active participants are the speaker and the addressee, whereas the third person is not an active participant in the speech act. Thirdly, present tenses is the dictate reference to the participant role, a referent, such as the speaker, the hearer, the addressee, and referents which are neither speaker nor addressee. And then for the any expressions used to point to a person, for example, like I, you, they, we, and others. Yeah, it should be refers to the pronoun as we know. And then here we provided some example of present tenses. The first one is I was late. Yeah, I over that means that present tenses. And then for the second example, you arrived early. Yeah, over here, you as the person tenses. And then for the last example, I saw them. Yeah, of course, them over that means the fourth person tenses. And then next about spatial tenses. Yeah, spatial tenses localize both the speech participants and the narrative participants in space. The most frequent words are the pronouns, like this or that, and this or those. And then for other expressions that belong to this category are the adverbs, for example, here or that, and the prepositions in or on, as mentioned 1983. Well, spatial tenses also entails whether something is near the speaker or not. For example, this versus that. In all languages, there are pairs of verbs such as come or go, bring or take, which are interpreted to identify the directions of the motions, towards or away from the place of speech even. Hence, the spatial tenses is the marking in language of the orientations or position in the speech. Well, thirdly, spatial tenses refers to the place or the space tenses. These words used to point the place or the space tenses. Well, here we provided some example. The first example, hey you, take this. Why the writer use or write this over here? Because it is close to the speaker. And then for the second example, hey you, bring that here. Why the writer write that over here? Yeah, it is because away from the speaker.
Thank you to the moderator. Well, I will continue the next presentation about the types of deixis. The third type is temporal deixis, which refers to an event of an utterance which takes place anytime relative to the speaking time. It represented by tenses, time adverbials, and spatial preposition such as in the evening, in the night, at midnight, on time, in time, etc. Then the location of an event referred to and represented by time, and tense constitutes the deictic center in the utterance of the speaker. There are two kinds of temporal taxes. The first is calendrical and the second is non-calendrical. Calendrical focuses on the use of word that included to the temporal taxes and included to the calendar, such as the name of days, the name of months, Friday, Monday, Sunday, then August, October, January, etc. The example is I'll see you on Friday. So the word Friday included in the calendrical because it is the name of days. And also it shows the use of temporal tenses because it use a simple it use simple future tense in the form or grammatical structure of the sentence. Then the next types is non-calendrical, which is not used the calendar category of for the temporal taxes. I mean, the word that used in these types is not included to the calendar, such as next week, next month, 2 years ago, yesterday, tomorrow. They are not included to the calendar, so it is included to the non-calendrical with the example, I'll see you next week. Then the next types of deixis is discourse deixis that provides a reference to an utterance backward or forward to the other utterance. Sometimes this kind of deixis use the word that included in to the time deixis and place deixis such as the word that, this, etc. So in the example you can see that there are two utterances. The first utterance, I bet you haven't heard this story. And the other utterance is, that was the funniest story I've ever heard. Those utterances related each other, which means the word that and the word this refer each other. It means when you observe the word that, when you see the word that in the B utterance, you will refer the meaning of that to the previous utterance or a utterance, specifically in the word this story. That is the function of discourse deixis. Refer to the previous or next utterance, which means that the word refers or pointed from the other utterance. And sometimes in discourse deixis, you may see the word like but, therefore, however, anyway, besides, well, such as when I present my material and I say, well, I will continue, or well, it is talk about. So, well, in this case, included to the discourse deixis. Well, the last types of deixis is social deixis that concern with the codification of social status of the speaker, the addressee, or the third person or entity referred to, as well as social relationship holding between them. Let's see from the example. The first example, did you see Professor Ezi? When I ask this question to my classmate, for example, Mbak Emma, so she knows who is Professor Ezi. It shows that there is a relationship between I as the speaker and Mbak Emma as the addressee. Then the word professor itself shows that there is a social status in the sentence or utterance. Professor shows the social status of the third person because it is question and I ask about someone else to my friend. So professor is the social status of the third person in this utterance because it is used to ask someone else. Then the next example, brethren means brother in same faith. Brethren, we welcome you with open arm. Brethren that shows a specific relationship between the speaker and the addressee. So when I say it to my friends that have similar faith, that has same faith, so he or she will understand what I said. Brother mean you are my brother in the same faith. That's it. Then I will return the next section to the moderator, and thank you.